In the halls of Congress, it was nothing but white. No, not that kind of white. Hi, I'm Scott Ott, and this is Bill Whittle Now. Bill, if you watched the State of the Union address that President Trump delivered to a joint session of Congress, you noted, of course, that many female Democrats and a few men dressed in white as a show of support for women. And in fact, during his speech, President Trump paid tribute to the fact that the United States, about 100 years ago, granted the right of suffrage to women, and now we have more women in the legislature than ever before. But Bill, one could not help but notice, because the women had so identified themselves, that the raucous applause that came afterward, all the women were on one side of the aisle. It's not that the Republicans had no women, but Democrats have overwhelming percentages of women. Democrats have a lot more women than Republicans do. And one wonders, first of all, whether you think President Trump made a mistake of drawing attention to that.
No, I don't think he made a mistake. I mean, if everybody's going to dress in white, then probably better to go right at it. It sounds to me like that might have been a last-minute addition. But the point that the women's vote movement is a century old, I thought, is something that might need to be expressed. I didn't have any idea what the question was going to be this morning. I did note in passing, as I came up to the studio today, there were 7 of us in the elevator and 6 of us were women going to work. You know, maybe someday we may even let them vote. Who knows? Own property. We don't want to take these things too fast, Scotty. You know, I mean, right now, the main thing is to make sure that they don't have any other jobs other than nurses and teachers. And I think as long as we can maintain that status quo, the patriarchy will continue.
Well, Bill, I think that that's what the optics were. Let's just say you were a non-political person who stumbled upon the president's speech last night, and you were watching it and kind of really scrolling through your phone at the same time and not really paying attention to what the president said. Every time you looked up, you saw this sea of women on the Democratic side of the aisle, and on the Republican side, very few women. How do you think that plays to an American public that has increasingly striven to empower women?
First of all, the Republican women were not wearing white, and if they had, it would have stood out a little bit more, I'm sure. But put that aside for a minute. There's no question. There's more Democratic women legislators than Republican women legislators. Large part of that reason is because most Republican women are running companies.
So you're saying that the women are too busy to run for office, and that's why Republicans haven't been able to recruit them to run for office?
What I'm saying is that politics is the first. The best minds on the left go into politics, and the best minds on the right go into either business or the military. I mean, politics for the right is a dirty kind of a chore that has to be done in order so that you can get on with an ordered life and try to succeed and make some prosperity for yourself and your family and your grandkids and all the rest. So it doesn't surprise me that there are more women in politics in the Democratic Party, especially since they're all wearing white, because the Democratic Party's entire modus operandi is divide the country by identity groups, and for whatever you do not ever let up on the fact that each one of these little special persecuted groups has been treated more unfairly than any group of people anywhere in the history of the world. And I don't buy it. And I don't think Republicans buy it. And that's why I don't think Republicans elect women because they're women. They elect women because the women that we do elect or run for office are highly qualified individuals.
Well, Bill, that would suggest that there are plenty of men available to run for office because they're not managing businesses. Or what are you saying?
Well, what I'm saying, Scott, is that it is in the interest of the Democratic Party to show themselves to be the champions of every single group in America, with the exception of working people. Hillary Clinton lost the working vote, and that's the entire Democratic Party's former identity. They used to be the party of the little guy, used to be the party of the factory worker against the big evil capitalist boss. But those people are voting Republicans now because they'd like to keep a little more of their money. The Democratic Party has made a decision under this progressive leadership to go ever further and further and further into identity politics. And frankly, Hillary Clinton would be president now, and she would be president because she would have deployed this same lie, this war on women, this Republican war on women, except Donald Trump had the political savvy to put 5 of Bill Clinton's rape victims in the front row during the second debate. And that pretty much defanged that argument, defanged her candidacy is what it did. So you can look at this any number of ways you want to. Next time, maybe they could have all the Asian people in the Democratic Party wear yellow, and maybe they can have all of the black people in the Democratic Party wear black, and maybe they can have all the Indians or Native Americans, Elizabeth Warren certainly, they can wear red, and we can go down with this, all the stereotypes we want to, and we can have all of these identity groups that we want to. But I like to be on the team that's electing people as individuals. And when you're electing an individual, then you're electing the individual. If the female candidate is better than the male candidate, then I'll vote for the female candidate. If not, I'll vote for the male candidate. I don't have anything to prove to anybody, because I've been working in this job market since I was 13. That's 50 years plus, something like that. And I've been working for women most of my life. This idea that there's this suppressive patriarchy, and Hillary Clinton's whole idea about shattering the glass ceiling, as if this is our last bastion of control, fellas. We can't let a woman be president. We can let them be presidential candidates, and we can let them be Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. It's childish, and it's stale.
Well, Bill, let's be honest. If you look at the population, about half of the people in the population are women, and yet Democrats have elected so many more women. It's hard to not look at that and see some sort of institutional sexism on the part of the Republican Party.
Well, it's either one or two things, Scott. It's either Republicans are saying, no, we don't want her to run. She's a woman. What good could a woman candidate possibly do the Republican Party? By all means, let's sabotage this candidacy. It's either that, or the Democrats selectively picking women candidates in order to run, in order to maintain this narrative of theirs. But we don't do things by quota, and we don't enforce quotas, and we don't go around looking for candidates and in order to pick somebody who's going to best represent this ongoing lie that we're telling people about 78 cents on the dollar and all the rest of this nonsense. It doesn't mean that there's that the number of women in the Republican Party relative to the number of women in the Democratic Party does not mean that the Republican Party is selectively stopping women from running for office. It means that the Democratic Party is actively recruiting people on the basis of racial and sexual identity quotas and all the rest of it. And I think the whole idea is disgusting. I think it's a direct violation of everything America's about. E pluribus unum means out of many one. It means a united group of people coming from all over the world, different colors, different religions, different sexes, all the rest of it. That's why I judge people as individuals. That's why the entire idea of conservatism is about individuals. And if an individual wants to run for office as a Republican and she's a woman, she will certainly have a fair chance to do that. And if she doesn't want to, then that doesn't mean the Republican Party is going to just go scouring places and trying to find women to run in order for us to be able to make some kind of an equal color swath in the Congress in this ongoing tribal, racial, sexist, demeaning, un-American, destructive philosophy that the Democratic Party's been champion of for 50 years now.
Okay, final question. Bill, do you think there's anything that the Republican Party should be doing to recruit and elect more women to office?
No, I don't. I think people will run for office based on what they want out of their lives. I know that as a general rule, I'm speaking as a general rule, the left uses politics to get things from people. And the right, generally speaking, I really do believe it. It's the makers and the takers. That's my personal take on it based on what I've seen from the last 15, 20 years of politics. So if a woman wants to run for office, if she either wants to run for office because she wants to be a politician, or if she runs for office because she finds the state of her local sidewalks intolerable, which I think was Ulysses S. Grant's only reason for wanting to run for office, then she'll run for office. And if she's a better candidate, she'll beat the men. And if she's not, she won't. And this is how the world is supposed to work. It's supposed to be a meritocracy. It's not supposed to be just an ongoing set of quotas designed to make other people feel good about the lie that they're telling to the rest of the country. So you can certainly say, well, we should be recruiting more women, and then maybe we can have them wear white as well. And then we'll say, oh, look, they're half, and we're almost there. We're 2/3 of... No, No, I'm sick and tired of playing by their rules, Scott. I'm sick and tired of agreeing to the moral battleground that they are setting out as somehow just or proper. It's not. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. We believe in merit and individuals. And by the way, Democrats, if you think that that's code for white supremacism, then that means that you, not me, that means that you are the racists and the sexists and the homophobes and everything else. Because my feeling is that if I were to look at people as individuals, I would be able to find top flight individuals of any race, background, color, and so on. And I'm tired of being told that because we're trying to find the best people for the job, that somehow makes us racist, when in point of fact, if you're willing to simply look for and recruit women, just as an example, just because you need women, you're insulting women. It's a direct insult to women. If you want good candidates, the good candidates will arise, and they'll arise based on which party they feel closest to. And to say that we should have more women or more Hispanics or all the rest of it is to play the same identity game that the Democrats are playing. And I think it's a disgusting moral position to take, that there need to be this many blacks, this many women, this many Asians. And it is the antithesis of what America is supposed to be about. Now, if there were institutional bans to blacks or women or anybody else running for office in the Republican Party, I'd be whistling a different tune. But since the first black Republican, black representatives, rather, were Republicans in 1866, 67, since there was a black Republican Speaker of the House pro tem in the 1860s, not the 1960s, we don't need to be lectured about fairness. We are the people that have been electing people as individuals since the Civil War, and the Civil War was the Democratic Party departing the Union to form the Confederacy. I'm just damn tired of these people trying to take this moral high ground when they don't have any at all, none.
Well, I guess to look at an alternative perspective, at one time it was said that we need more women in political office because they think differently than men. Of course, you can't say that today, but I suppose House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and former Secretary of State and Senator Hillary Clinton have given the lie to the idea that if you elect women and put them in power, maybe we'll have a less Machiavellian government.
No, you know what? And this is the ultimate proof. When you get right down to it, it's the ultimate proof of the absolute genuine equality of the sexes in America. To look at Nancy Pelosi, Elizabeth Warren, and Hillary Clinton and realize that an American woman can be every bit the jackass of a politician that an American man can be. That's an achievement that I think we should all salute.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Whittle Now is brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com, who pay anywhere from about $10 to about $50 a month for the privilege of bringing you these conversations, for distributing this kind of content around the world. If you'd like to join them, you can do so at BillWhittle.com by clicking that Become a Member link at the top of the page. We're grateful to those folks who have chosen to support us, many of them for years. So for Bill Whittle, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members of BillWhittle.com for making this possible.